Hey everyone, and welcome back to r/ProRevenge. In today's episode, a slumlord refuses to let a company get out of the lease of an extremely dangerous building. So instead, much to the landlord's surprise, they get it condemned. And be sure to stick around for the last story as well, it's pretty crazy. It's about a car thief getting caught in the act. And at the very end, we'll even be showing footage of the confrontation itself. Alright, so without further ado, let's jump in. What happens when engineering students are asked to truck-proof a mailbox? Yes, I know there's a lot of mailbox stories on here, but I just learned this story from my dad involving my Uncle Dale. He was a family friend who passed away a few months ago, and I figured you guys would get a kick out of it. Years ago, back when Uncle Dale and Dad were university students, their engineering professor came to their class with a problem that needed solving. His mailbox was getting broken by someone driving by every night. He and his wife had put up something like 4 or 5 mailboxes, and all 4 or 5 times the mailbox had been knocked over by someone driving a red truck. This professor offered extra credit to any group of students who could come up with a truck-proof mailbox that not only fit with city regulations, but within a budget of $20, which back then was a good-sized chunk of change. Well, if anyone here knows anything about engineers, as Dad puts it, they love solving problems. And if it's engineering students, they'll make it an experience to remember. Dad and Uncle Dale got together and got to work. They found a steel bar that fit within mailbox regulations, since posts have to be a specific height, width, and depth. They filled the inside with a mixture of concrete and steel rebar. Once the concrete had cured, they welded 8 rebars to the side of the bar, bent them in half, and stuck it inside a bucket. To add extra weight, they filled the bucket with the heaviest rocks they could find. As a finishing touch, they painted it brown and black to look like wood, and put the ugliest mailbox they could find on sale on top, welding it down for good measure. They brought this monstrosity into class, more dragged it because it was so heavy, and told the professor to bury the bucket where the mailbox stood. Since they were the first to turn in their project, the professor agreed to give it a try. That night, the professor and his wife were awoken by a metallic bang, followed by a lot of cursing. They went outside, and wouldn't you know it, there was that red truck speeding away, the mailbox still standing. At the base was a broken wooden baseball bat. 2 days later, the professor gets a bill in the mail for a hospital visit. Turns out, when the passenger hit the mailbox, he did some serious damage to his arm and shoulder. They were planning on suing the professor, but the professor hired a lawyer who basically told the plaintiffs, "You're just going to admit that you were vandalizing the mailbox multiple times?" That shut them up. To the best of my dad's knowledge, the mailbox is still standing. The other students who still brought in mailboxes had theirs gifted to different professors throughout the town, and are also still standing. What in the world were they thinking wanting to sue this professor? I can just imagine the court hearing. The judge is like, "What are we here for today?" "Well, Your Honor, I was trying to vandalize this guy's mailbox, but it was too sturdy and I hurt myself, so I demand compensation." Slumlord won't let the company out of a 5-year lease. I get the building condemned. This is about the company I work for and a trip I took, because I had to wire a building for a computer network because the building owner wouldn't. Our company was moving a remote site to a new building. As the IT guy for the company, I was asked to look at the new building and get network ports marked out. The landlord refused to put in any low voltage lines, and we got quotes, but they were thousands of dollars. Enter me, my car, and 4 boxes of Cat 6 plenum. It's about an 8-hour drive, and I was doing about 30 drops. Not a ton, but still a few days work in some place that's already built up, and it's drop ceiling with insulation on top. Messy, itchy work. Day 1. We get there Monday morning at the start of the month. It's actually a cool summer morning, and we're from further south, so no one notices the AC not working for about an hour. Slowly, the building begins heating up. It gets to 80 degrees by noon, 85 at 3 p.m. The rooms with floor-to-ceiling windows are greenhouses. It's absolutely miserable. We've been told by the workers still on site that the leasing company was told that there was no AC in our building 3 weeks ago. The other thing is, there are still workers on site. The building isn't completed. So much for being ready for a handover day 1. Day 2. We're getting agitated. It's 80 degrees in the AM when we first walk in. It's sweltering. The other guy that came up with me is the facilities manager. He's screaming at people over the phone to fix the effing air conditioning. We're all exhausted from the heat by 3 p.m. I found a 4-foot hole in the ducting when I opened the ceiling tile. The AC was blowing, but there was no cold air. We are told the compressor is broken. Day 3. More of the same. Miserable in the morning. I'm finally getting the last lines punched in on the patch panel. The AC guys arrive about 10 a.m. They finally fix the unit at 2 p.m. We ask them what they did. They said, a lot of things. We again said, what did you do? The reply was, we can't tell the tenants. Red flag alert. We contacted our realtor, and she said she would look into what was done. She sends an email later that night that says, they changed the refrigerant from R22 to R410A. I tell the facilities guy, no way, dude. That's like putting gas in a diesel motor. They'd have to change out the entire system. They didn't do that in 4 hours. They basically duct taped and WD-40'd that thing back together, and it'll run poorly for a month or so, then give out, and we'd be stuck with a replacement. Day 4. Still no running water to some areas. Still workers on site. The AC can't keep up with the noonday sun, and it still hits around 80 by the end of the day. The AC runs continuously. We're packing up all the stuff we moved in and are moving out. I notice all the fire sprinklers look like they've moved, and the metal protection around the top tile has fallen to the floor. The sprinklers are no longer protruding from the tiles in places. In others, they are quite a bit lower than they were. Yup, the AC fools stood on the fire sprinklers to fix their lousy ductwork. We are looking for a friendly way out. We contact the landlord and say, you haven't delivered a finished building. We're moving out. The lease is broken. The landlord has a 36-page lease. The landlord won't let us out of the lease. It's 5 years. This is not starting off well. We get in contact with the corporate lawyer and the realtor. They both agree. We're kind of screwed. We are desperate for any way out. I start looking at the fire system. I used to run all kinds of low voltage lines, fire, security, etc. There is no fire panel in our portion of the building. No smoke detectors are hooked up to anything. More red flags. One of our employees that was moving the heavy gear said, oh yeah, I meant to mention, I never saw any building permits anywhere. They did this build out, including demolition, running new plumbing and power lines, and destroying the fire system, without a city permit. Cue the call to the city inspector's office. Day 5. I wasn't here for this part, but the facilities manager told me this. The city inspector pulled the permits for the building. There weren't any. He finds multiple violations of city code, red tagged our area, removed the certificate of occupancy. When I told him to check the fire system like you said, he just goes, oh, no, I have to make a call. He calls the fire marshal. Day 8. Fire marshals arrive on scene, find no active alarm system in our portion of the building, red tag. Find the sprinkler riser for the entire building in our area, no water pressure. They condemned the entire building. Basically, they wouldn't let us out of the building because we signed a lease, even though they never delivered a building in any semblance of working order. Called the building inspector, got them smoked, who then called the fire marshal, who condemned the entire building. They are still trying to fight us over it, but we're pushing for them to not only refund our deposit and the rent, which they have already done, but for all the time spent moving gear in and out and all the wiring. Our lawyer says they don't have a leg to stand on, and he's happy for them to pay his fees as well. Car thief gets caught in the act, leaves her phone behind with tons of incriminating evidence linking her to other crimes, and now the would-be victim owns her Facebook account and is posting everything he finds. A week or two ago, someone who we'll call Joe caught a thief breaking into his car. The thief got so startled that when they took off, they left their belongings there, including their phone, which had no security on it. Well, because everything goes through your phone now, Joe was able to take over the thief's Facebook account and put them on blast. Joe has been posting all the screenshots of messages he finds, incriminating the thief in a series of crimes, including a potential murder that was disguised as an OD. Joe's posts have helped link the thief to storage unit break-ins, card theft, catalytic converter theft, home break-ins, including using obituaries to steal from recently deceased people, shoplifting, drugs, and worse. Videos of her breaking into storage units, messages about selling stolen property and drugs. There's even screenshots of search history, including how to hotwire a car, an easiest car to steal, etc. Now this whole situation is actually public information, including the thief's name, and it's all over various news sites, so I won't necessarily be doxing her by showing this. This is the thief's Facebook account after the owner of the car got her phone and changed this info. Check out what he changed here. Elizabeth Cook, car thief. Underneath it, I steal cars, works at stealing. Pronounces name, Elizabeth Car Thief. And let's touch a bit more on the whole thing about the potential murder disguised as an OD. Bobby Phillips was a 61-year-old homeless man that was currently staying at the house that Elizabeth Cook lived in. Upon finding Bobby Phillips collapsed on the floor, Elizabeth Cook called 911. When EMS arrived and attempted to resuscitate him, they were stopped by Elizabeth. She then told EMS that this man had a do not resuscitate order and that she had his power of attorney, and apparently provided documents to back these claims. She then went on to tell them that this man had given everything he had to her in his time of death. Later, authorities were tipped by someone who said Elizabeth was bragging that she would get a lot of money after this man's death. The medical examiner later ruled this man's death as accidental, caused by heart disease. But here's the kicker that makes things pretty suspicious. He did die from heart disease, but it was exacerbated by methamphetamines found in his system. So sure, it could just be a convenient coincidence, but it sure as hell looks very suspicious. Maybe she already knew about this heart condition and drugged him. Anyway, if you're interested in knowing more about this whole thing, look up Elizabeth Cook. Now I'm going to be showing you guys the footage of this confrontation when Elizabeth Cook was caught stealing this car. Fair warning, there is a lot of profanity and yelling for those of you that might be more sensitive to that. So here it is.
What?
My friend sent me over here and told me that I could use this car because my car broke down. I'm so sorry. Is this not my car?
What the fuck are you doing? What is this?
Look, these were all in here, and this is...
Yeah, it's my fucking car.
Okay, I'm sorry, dude. I did not know that this was your car. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Okay, just dip.
Okay.
Goodbye. Don't touch
bad.
nothing else. You're lucky I don't have my mom come out here. What are you doing?
I got my purse right here.
I don't give a fuck. Get the fuck out of my shit.
Look, can I just get my purse?
No, you ain't getting shit.
Look, dude,
No,
I'm so
this
sorry.
is my
I'm so
shit.
sorry. I will call my friend right now.
I don't
and have
care.
him come down
Fuck
here.
get out of here.
Look,
call the police.
I'm so
call
sorry.
the police. Call the police.
Just let me get my purse.
Get
please.
no.
Give me my purse.
Get out of my
Look,
vehicle.
Look. I'm not trying to steal anything
Just
from
throw her
anybody.
shit. Just throw her shit. Let her just throw it across
Look, I'm not trying to cause any problems to anybody or anything.
Okay, just stop talking. Just stop talking. Just stop talking. I'm trying to tell him to just stop talking.
If I would have known that this was an issue, I would never have came out here. I was out here during the day.
Okay, well,
I never would have known.
I never seen that stuff before.
This is just clothes and my boyfriend's medication. I'm so sorry. Like, I'm not...
You're out here fucking breaking my column down
I did
and
not
shit.
break it. It was already like that. I don't even know how to do that, dude.
I heard you out here starting it. How the fuck? How do you... Get out of here. Get out of here. No.
There's medicine in that.
I don't care. No. No.
Dad, just throw her
I'm
shit.
asking you
Just
nicely.
throw her
I did
shit.
not
Whatever.
know. If I would have known...
Take your mask down.
No, sir.
Take your mask down.
No, sir.
If you
I'll
want-
give it
if
to you.
want your stuff, just
Take your mask down.
Here.
And that's it for today's stories. If you enjoyed, drop a like, and also be sure to subscribe if you haven't yet. Have an awesome day, everyone. Take care, and I'll see you next time.